You've always treated her better, and I won't continue to live in the shadows. Baby, Marcus just broke up with Vanessa, and you didn't call someone who stole my boyfriend?
Elena stood in her apartment, sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city she'd called home for 5 years. Boxes were scattered across the hardwood floor, half-packed for a weekend getaway she hadn't planned but desperately needed. Her hands moved mechanically, folding clothes and placing them in a suitcase, but her mind was somewhere else entirely. Somewhere in the past 6 months that had unraveled her entire life and rebuilt it into something she barely recognized, but somehow felt more authentic than anything before. 6 months ago, she'd been the woman who wasn't enough. The sister who lived in Vanessa's shadow. The girlfriend who Marcus cheated on without a second thought. The daughter her mother overlooked in favor of the golden child who could do no wrong. She'd been invisible, disposable, forgettable. 6 months ago, she'd cried herself to sleep wondering what was wrong with her, why she wasn't worthy of love or loyalty or basic human decency. But that woman was gone now. Dead and buried beneath the ashes of betrayal and reborn into someone stronger, someone who understood that worthiness wasn't something others granted, it was something you claimed for yourself. The past 6 months had taught her that painful lesson through fire and heartbreak, through confrontation and revelation, through Jihoon's steady presence that never demanded she be anything other than exactly who she was. Jihoon. Even thinking his name made something warm unfold in her chest. The Korean businessman who'd walked into her life at her lowest moment and refused to let her drown. The man who saw her when everyone else looked through her. The one who chose her not because she was the best option available, but because he genuinely wanted her. No games. No manipulation. No hidden agendas. Just honest, consuming desire wrapped in the kind of protective intensity that made her feel simultaneously safe and dangerously alive. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. She crossed the apartment and picked it up, smiling when she saw his name on the screen. "I'm almost done packing," she said without preamble. "Good." Jihoon's voice was warm, tinged with amusement. "Because I have a surprise for you. I don't like surprises. You'll like this one." "How can you be so sure?" "Because I know you, Elena. Better than you think I do." She heard the smile in his voice, that confident edge that would be arrogant on anyone else, but on him just felt like certainty. "Pack something nice. Something that makes you feel beautiful." "Where are we going?" "If I told you, it wouldn't be a surprise." "Jihoon. Trust me." The words were simple, but weighted with meaning. He'd asked her to trust him before, and every time she had, he'd proven himself worthy of it. "Can you do that?" She looked around her apartment, at the life she'd built from scratch after everything fell apart, and realized that yes, she could trust him. Maybe not blindly, maybe not without the caution that betrayal had taught her, but enough. Enough to pack a bag and let him take her somewhere unknown. Enough to believe that whatever he had planned, it came from a place of wanting her happiness, not controlling it. "Yes," she said softly. "I trust you. Good girl." The approval in his voice sent heat through her body. "I'll pick you up in 2 hours. Be ready." He hung up before she could respond, leaving her standing in her kitchen with her heart racing and a smile she couldn't suppress. She learned over the past months that Jihoon communicated in actions more than words, in gestures that showed rather than told, in the way he anticipated her needs before she voiced them and created space for her to be herself without apology. She finished packing with renewed energy, choosing outfits that made her feel confident and beautiful, things she'd bought for herself with her own money from the job Jihoon had helped her secure but never demanded credit for. The woman who emerged from her bedroom an hour and 45 minutes later bore little resemblance to the broken girl Marcus had discarded. This woman wore her strength like armor and her vulnerability like a crown, understanding that true power came from acknowledging both. The buzzer sounded exactly 2 hours after their call. Punctual as always. She grabbed her bag and headed downstairs, finding Jihoon leaning against his car with that casual elegance that made every movement look choreographed. He wore dark jeans and a simple black shirt, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms that had held her through nightmares and passion in equal measure. His hair was slightly tousled, like he'd run his hands through it while thinking, and when he saw her, his entire face transformed. "You're stunning," he said, pushing off the car to meet her halfway. "You say that every time you see me, because it's true every time I see you." He took her bag with one hand and cupped her face with the other, thumb brushing across her cheekbone. "Ready? For what?" "Florida. Beaches. Sunsets. Time away from everything and everyone who's ever made you feel less than extraordinary." He kissed her forehead, gentle and reverent. "You deserve a break, Elena. From the memories, from the confrontations, from being strong all the time. Just a few days where you can breathe." Tears stung her eyes, but she blinked them back. "I don't know what I did to deserve you. You existed. That was enough." He loaded her bag into the trunk and opened the passenger door. "Now get in before I change my mind and keep you in this city where I have to share you with work and responsibilities." The drive to the airport was filled with comfortable conversation and charged silence in turns. Jihun's hand found hers across the console, fingers interlacing like they'd been designed to fit together. Every so often she'd catch him glancing at her with an expression she couldn't quite read, but that made her feel cherished in a way Marcus never had, in a way her family never had, in a way she'd stopped believing was possible. The airport was crowded, but Jihun navigated it with the ease of someone who traveled frequently for business. First-class tickets. Priority boarding. Seats that felt more like personal pods than airplane chairs. She settled in beside him, and he immediately pulled out his laptop to work while she watched the city disappear beneath them. "Thank you," she said after they reached cruising altitude. He looked up from his screen. "For what?" "For seeing me. For choosing me. For making me feel like I matter." Something fierce flashed in his eyes. He closed the laptop and turned his full attention to her, that intensity that made her feel like she was the only person in the world. "You do matter. You always have. The people who couldn't see that were blind, not you being invisible. Do you understand the difference?" "I'm starting to." "Good. Because I need you to understand that my choosing you isn't charity or pity or me settling. You're not second best or a consolation prize. You're the woman I want. The only woman I want. And I don't say that lightly, Elena. I don't make promises I can't keep or offer things I'm not willing to give. When I say you matter, I mean you matter to me in ways I didn't know were possible until you." The rawness in his confession made her chest tight. She leaned over and kissed him, soft and slow, tasting the truth in his words through the way he kissed her back with equal tenderness and barely restrained hunger. When they broke apart, they were both breathing hard. "Get some rest," he murmured against her lips. "We land in 3 hours, and I have plans for you that require energy." She smiled and settled back in her seat, feeling his hand find hers again. As the plane carried them toward Florida and sun and temporary escape, she let herself relax in a way she hadn't in months. Let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, she'd finally found someone who wouldn't break her heart because he valued it too much to be careless with it. But beneath the warmth and hope, a small voice reminded her that she had unfinished business. Her mother. The woman who'd chosen Vanessa over her for years, who'd enabled manipulation and emotional neglect through willful blindness. The woman Elena loved but could no longer trust without accountability. That conversation was coming. It had to happen before she could fully move forward. Before she could build a life with Jihun without the weight of unresolved family trauma dragging behind her like chains. Soon, she promised herself. Soon she would face her mother and demand the answers and acknowledgement she deserved. But not today. Today she would let Jihun take care of her. Tomorrow she would fight her battles. That was the balance she was learning, how to accept love without losing her strength, how to be vulnerable without becoming weak, how to demand what she deserved while still opening her heart to someone who'd proven he could be trusted with it. If you're already feeling the shift in Elena's journey from victim to victor, drop a like and subscribe. This story is about to take you on an emotional ride you won't want to miss, and trust me, the best parts are still ahead. Florida was everything Ji-hun promised and more. The hotel was luxury she'd only seen in magazines, white sand beaches visible from their balcony, ocean waves providing constant soothing background music, palm trees swaying in the warm breeze that smelled like salt and freedom. Their suite had a king-size bed facing those floor-to-ceiling windows, a bathroom with a soaking tub large enough for two, and a sitting area where they could watch the sunset paint the sky in impossible colors. Ji-hun watched her take it all in with an expression of quiet satisfaction. "Do you like it? Like it?" "Ji-hun, she turned in a slow circle, overwhelmed. "This is too much." "It's exactly enough." He set their bags down and crossed to her, hands settling on her waist. "You've been carrying the world on your shoulders for months. Dealing with betrayal, rebuilding yourself, confronting painful truths. You deserve to be spoiled. To feel taken care of. To remember what it's like to just exist without constantly being on guard." She looked up at him, this man who'd somehow become her anchor, and felt something crack open in her chest. "I don't know how to just exist anymore. I don't know how to not be fighting. Then let me teach you." He kissed her forehead, her cheekbones, the corner of her mouth with aching gentleness. "For the next 3 days, your only job is to feel. To breathe. To let me show you what it looks like when someone loves you without conditions or expectations." The word love hung between them, unspoken before now. She searched his face, looking for any sign he'd said it carelessly or prematurely, but found only certainty. He meant it. This man who could have anyone, who commanded rooms with his presence and built empires with his intelligence, loved her. Messy, broken, rebuilding her. "I love you too," she whispered, the words feeling both terrifying and necessary. "I didn't want to. I tried not to. But you made it impossible not to fall for you." His smile was slow and devastating. "Good. I'd hate to be the only one completely ruined for anyone else." He kissed her then, and it was different from every kiss before. Deeper. More claiming. A promise wrapped in passion and sealed with the kind of intensity that made her forget every doubt, every fear, every moment she'd ever felt unworthy. His hands moved from her waist to her face, tilting her head back to deepen the kiss, and she melted into him, trusting him to hold her up when her knees went weak. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. "Beach or bed?" She laughed, surprised by the choice. "What?" "We can go for a walk on the beach, watch the sunset, have dinner at the restaurant I reserved." Or his hands slid down to her hips, pulling her flush against him so she could feel exactly how much he wanted her. "Or we can stay here and I can show you approximately 7 different ways I've been imagining making you fall apart since we left your apartment." Heat flooded through her. 7. At minimum. I'm creative when properly motivated. His teeth grazed her earlobe. "What do you want, Elena? Beach or bed?" She should say beach. Should be responsible and romantic and do the wholesome vacation activities he'd clearly planned. But his hands were warm on her hips and his mouth was doing sinful things to her neck, and she suddenly couldn't remember why being responsible mattered when being reckless with him felt so devastatingly right. "Bed," she breathed. "Definitely bed." His laugh was low and satisfied. "Thank God. I was hoping you'd say that." He lifted her effortlessly, her legs wrapping around his waist as he carried her to that enormous bed with the sunset painting the room in gold and orange light. He laid her down with reverence, following her down so their bodies were pressed together, and proceeded to show her exactly what it felt like to be worshipped by someone who knew her body better than she knew it herself. Hours later, when the sun had long since set and the stars were bright outside their window, they lay tangled together in sheets that smelled like them, her head on his chest and his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her bare shoulder. She'd never felt more content, more satisfied, more completely herself than in this moment with this man in this place that felt removed from real life. "Tell me something," she said softly. "Something true. I've never lied to you. I know. But tell me something you haven't told anyone else. Something real." He was quiet for a moment, his hand stilling on her shoulder. When he spoke, his voice was lower, more vulnerable than she'd ever heard it. "I was engaged once. 5 years ago. To a woman my family approved of, someone from the right background with the right connections. Everyone expected us to marry, to create the perfect business alliance wrapped in the pretense of love. Elena lifted her head to look at him, sensing this story didn't have a happy ending. I called it off 3 weeks before the wedding. Not because I didn't care about her, but because I realized I didn't love her. Not the way she deserved to be loved. Not the way I wanted to love someone. Everyone was furious, my family, her family, our business partners. They called me selfish, immature, incapable of commitment. Maybe they were right. They weren't right, Elena said firmly. You weren't selfish. You were honest. You didn't string her along or marry her knowing you couldn't give her your whole heart. That's brave, not selfish. My family hasn't forgiven me. They think I threw away an opportunity for personal happiness that wasn't guaranteed anyway. They think I'm a fool. And what do you think? He looked at her, and in his eyes she saw the answer before he spoke it. I think I was waiting for you. I think if I'd married her, I never would have been free to find the woman who makes me understand what all those poets and songwriters were talking about. The woman who makes me want to be better, not because she demands it, but because she deserves it. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Jihoon, you asked for something true. That's the truth. I didn't know I was waiting for you until you walked into my life. But now that you're here, I know I would have waited forever if that's what it took to find you. She kissed him then, tasting salt from her tears and his lips, feeling the truth of his words settle into her bones like they'd been waiting for a home. This was what love was supposed to feel like. Not desperate or anxious or constantly second-guessing. Just certain. Just right. Just them choosing each other again and again in 1,000 small ways that added up to forever. They made love again, slower this time, savoring every touch and kiss and whispered declaration. And when they finally fell asleep wrapped around each other, Elena dreamed of futures instead of past betrayals, of building instead of breaking, of love that felt like coming home instead of constantly fighting to prove she was worthy of staying. The next morning, they walked the beach barefoot, fingers interlaced, talking about everything and nothing. Jihoon told her stories about his business, his travels, the risks he'd taken that paid off, and the ones that taught him valuable lessons through failure. Elena found herself sharing dreams she'd buried beneath practical concerns, writing, traveling, creating something meaningful instead of just surviving. You should do it, Jihoon said when she mentioned wanting to write. Whatever stops you, it's not worth more than pursuing what makes you feel alive. It's not that simple. I have bills, responsibilities. I'm not saying quit your job tomorrow and hope for the best. I'm saying make time for the things that matter. An hour a day. A weekend here and there. Stop waiting for permission to pursue what fulfills you. He stopped walking and turned to face her, hands on her shoulders. You've spent so long making yourself small to fit other people's expectations. Your mother wanted you to be less than Vanessa so she didn't have to admit she'd been playing favorites. Marcus wanted you to be grateful for scraps, so he didn't have to give you actual love. Even Vanessa needed you small so she could feel big. But you don't have to be small anymore, Elena. You can take up space. You can want things. You can demand more from life than just getting by. His words hit her like physical blows, each one landing in the places she'd been protecting, forcing her to confront truths she'd been avoiding. He was right. She'd been making herself small her entire life, and even now, after everything, she was still doing it. Still convincing herself that basic happiness was too much to ask for. I'm scared, she admitted. What if I try and fail? What if I'm not actually good enough? Then you fail. And you learn. And you try again. He cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. But Elena, what if you're better than you know? What if you've been holding yourself back all this time and the moment you stop, you discover you're extraordinary? You think I'm extraordinary. I know you are. The question is, when will you know it too? She didn't have an answer. But standing there on that beach with the sun warming her skin and this man looking at her like she hung the moon, she felt something shift inside her. Permission. Not from him, but from herself. Permission to want more, to try for more, to believe she deserved more than the scraps she'd been accepting. They spent the rest of the day exploring, eating fresh seafood at a restaurant built over the water, dancing to live music as the sun set in brilliant shades of pink and gold. Jihun held her close, moved with her to the rhythm, whispered things in Korean she didn't understand but felt in the way his hands tightened on her waist possessively. "What are you saying?" she asked, breathless from dancing and proximity and the way he was looking at her. "That you're mine. That anyone who ever made you feel less than extraordinary was a fool. That I plan to spend considerable time reminding you of your worth until you believe it yourself." He spun her out and back, catching her against his chest. "And that when we get back to the room, I'm going to make you forget every man who came before me." Bold promise. I don't make promises I can't keep. He proved it thoroughly once they returned to their suite, and she fell asleep convinced that no memory of Marcus or anyone else could survive the way Jihun loved her completely, intensely, without reservation or restraint. But in the morning, as they prepared to head back home, reality intruded. There were conversations waiting. Confrontations she'd been avoiding. Her mother. The woman who needed to answer for years of favoritism and willful blindness. The woman Elena loved but could no longer make excuses for. "I need to talk to my mother," she said over breakfast on their last morning. Jihun looked up from his coffee. "I know. You do. You've been carrying that around since we got here. I was just waiting for you to be ready." He reached across the table and took her hand. "Do you want me there with you?" "No. This is something I need to do alone." But she squeezed his hand. "But knowing you'll be there afterward, when it's done, that helps. I'll be there. Always. Whatever you need." She believed him. That was the gift he'd given her over these months, the ability to believe in someone's promises again, to trust that chosen love could be steady instead of conditional. Armed with that certainty and the strength she'd built brick by brick over 6 months of surviving and rebuilding, she prepared to face the woman who'd failed her and demand the accountability that healing required. The vacation had been an interlude, a pause before the next battle. But unlike before, she wasn't walking into it alone or uncertain. She had Jihun. She had herself. And she had the knowledge that whatever her mother said or didn't say, it wouldn't break her. She was already broken and rebuilt into something stronger. Nothing could destroy that now. The brunch reservation was at a small French bistro downtown, the kind of place with white tablecloths and hushed conversations and mimosas served in crystal flutes. Elena arrived early, deliberately choosing the table by the window where sunlight would make hiding impossible. She wanted to see her mother's face clearly, wanted no shadows to obscure truth or soften the edges of this conversation that was 6 months overdue and 28 years in the making. Her mother arrived exactly on time, dressed impeccably as always in a cream blouse and tailored slacks, her hair styled perfectly, her makeup flawless. She looked like the successful professional woman she was, the mother who had it all figured out. Except she didn't. She'd failed her daughter in ways that mattered more than any professional success could compensate for. Elena. Her mother leaned down to kiss her cheek, but Elena pulled back sharply, the rejection deliberate and unmistakable. Her mother froze, hurt flashing across her face before confusion replaced it. "Is everything all right?" "Sit down, Mom." Elena's voice was flat, emotionless. "We need to talk." Her mother sat slowly, hands clutching her purse like a shield. "You're scaring me." "What's wrong?" "What's wrong?" Elena laughed, bitter and sharp. "What's wrong is that I've spent 28 years trying to earn love from a woman who was never going to give it to me. What's wrong is that I've been invisible in my own family my entire life, and you were too busy worshipping Vanessa to notice or care." Her mother's face went pale. "Elena, that's not. Don't." Elena's hand slammed on the table, making the silverware jump. Other diners turned to stare, but she didn't care. She was done being quiet, done being convenient, done protecting everyone else's feelings at the expense of her own. "Don't you dare sit there and tell me that's not true. Don't insult me with lies on top of everything else. I've always loved you." "Love? You call what you gave me love?" Elena leaned forward, her voice dropping to something cold and cutting. "Love is seeing your child, celebrating their accomplishments, making them feel valued. You give me scraps, Mom. Leftover attention after Vanessa took her fill. Conditional affection based on how little trouble I caused. That's not love. That's tolerance. Tears were forming in her mother's eyes, but Elena felt nothing. No sympathy. No urge to comfort. Just years of accumulated rage finally finding its voice. When we were kids, Vanessa got the bigger bedroom, the new clothes, the extravagant birthday parties while I got hand-me-downs and cake from a box. You told me it was because Vanessa needed more attention, that I was mature enough to understand. I was 7 years old, Mom. 7. And you were already teaching me that my needs didn't matter as much as hers. She was more sensitive. She was manipulative. Elena's voice rose again. She learned early that throwing tantrums got her what she wanted, and instead of parenting her, you enabled it. You rewarded her bad behavior and punished me for being self-sufficient. Do you have any idea how damaging that is? How it teaches a child that needing things is weakness, that asking for attention is shameful. Her mother was crying now, but Elena pressed on, relentless. This had been building for decades, and she wouldn't be silenced anymore. Every achievement I had, you minimized. When I got straight A's, you said Vanessa was trying her best. When I got into college on scholarship, you threw Vanessa a party for getting into community college with your money. When I graduated with honors, you spent the whole dinner talking about Vanessa's new boyfriend. Nothing I did was ever enough to make you see me, to make you proud, to make you treat me like I mattered as much as your precious golden child. That's not fair. Fair. Elena's laugh was sharp enough to cut. You want to talk about fair? Let's talk about Marcus. Let's talk about how your perfect daughter seduced my fiancé, and you knew something was wrong but did nothing. Don't shake your head, you knew. You saw the late-night texts. You noticed them disappearing together. You heard me crying in my room, and you walked past my door to check on Vanessa instead. Her mother's face crumpled. I didn't know the extent. Because you didn't want to know. Knowing would have meant admitting that Vanessa was capable of cruelty. It would have meant choosing me over her for once in your life. And you couldn't do that, could you? You've never been able to do that. Even now, even after she destroyed my relationship and humiliated me, you still make excuses for her. She made a mistake. Stop. Elena's voice cracked like a whip. Stop making excuses. Stop protecting her. Stop sacrificing me to make her look better. I'm done, Mom. I'm done being the daughter you overlook. I'm done being collateral damage in your mission to make Vanessa feel special. The restaurant had gone quiet. Everyone was watching now, but Elena didn't care. Let them watch. Let them see what happens when a woman finally stops swallowing her pain to keep the peace. You failed me, Elena continued, her voice steady now, cold and final. As a mother. As a parent. As someone who was supposed to protect me and love me unconditionally. You failed, and I need you to know that. I need you to sit with the reality that your choices damaged me in ways I'm still recovering from. Her mother reached across the table, but Elena pulled back. Don't touch me. You lost that privilege when you chose Vanessa over me every single day of my life. Please, Elena. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. That's the problem. You didn't realize because you never looked. You were too busy managing Vanessa's emotions and protecting her image to notice that your other daughter was drowning. And now you want forgiveness? You want me to make this easy for you? I want to fix this. You can't fix this. Elena's voice was flat. You can't undo 28 years of neglect. You can't erase the damage. You can't make me forget what it felt like to be invisible in my own family. Then what do you want from me? Elena met her mother's eyes, and what her mother saw there made her flinch. Nothing. I don't want anything from you anymore. That's the point. I spent my whole life trying to earn your love, your approval, your attention. I'm done. I'm taking my power back. You're disowning me? No. I'm setting boundaries. I'm choosing myself for the first time in my life. Elena stood, leaving her untouched mimosa on the table. You and Vanessa don't get access to me anymore. You don't get to celebrate my successes after ignoring my struggles. You don't get to benefit from the life I've built after contributing nothing but pain to the foundation. Elena, please. I'm not cutting you off completely. You're still my mother. But we're not close anymore. We're not family the way families are supposed to be. We're just people who share blood and painful history. And that's all you get from me now. Her mother was sobbing openly, mascara running in black rivers down her face. I love you. I do love you. Maybe you do. In your own broken way. But love without action is just words, Mom. And your actions have told me everything I needed to know about where I stand in your hierarchy of priorities. Elena grabbed her purse. Vanessa will always come first with you. I've accepted that. I just won't keep sacrificing myself on that altar anymore. Can we try? Can we start over? No, the word was final. We can have a distant relationship. Polite. Civil, but we're never going to be close. That ship sailed years ago, and you were the captain who steered it into the rocks. Elena turned to leave, but her mother grabbed her wrist. Please don't leave like this. Let's talk. Elena pulled free, her eyes hard. We're done talking. I said what I needed to say. Whether you actually hear it is up to you. But I'm done making myself small to fit your narrative. I'm done being the good daughter who doesn't complain. I'm done protecting you from the consequences of your choices. She walked out of the restaurant with her head high, leaving her mother sobbing at the table. She felt lighter than she had in years, like she'd been carrying a boulder and finally set it down. The weight of trying to earn love from someone incapable of giving it freely was gone. She was free. Jihun was waiting by his car, and the moment he saw her face, he straightened. How did it go? I burned the bridge. Elena walked into his arms. I told her everything. All of it. And I made it clear that she doesn't get to be part of my life anymore. Not really. Not in any way that matters. How do you feel? Free. She looked up at him. For the first time in my life, I feel free. I'm not waiting for her to see me anymore. I'm not hoping she'll change. I'm just done. Good. He kissed her forehead. She didn't deserve you anyway. No, she didn't. Elena pulled back and smiled, and it was genuine. Take me home. I want to start planning the life I'm going to build without them in it. Jihun opened the car door for her, and as they drove away from the restaurant and her mother's tears and years of accumulated pain, Elena felt something she hadn't felt in months. Not happiness exactly, but something close. Peace. The kind that comes from finally choosing yourself after a lifetime of choosing everyone else. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. Please don't do this. Let's talk. I can change. Elena deleted it without responding. She'd said everything that needed saying. Anything else would just be her mother trying to manipulate her back into the role of understanding daughter who forgives easily and forgets quickly. But that daughter was gone. Dead and buried alongside the woman who believed she needed her mother's approval to have value. The new Elena knew better. She knew her worth wasn't tied to her mother's ability to see it. She knew that being family didn't obligate her to accept mistreatment. She knew that love without respect was just another form of abuse dressed up in prettier language. Another text. Vanessa is devastated. She wants to talk to you. Elena almost laughed. Of course Vanessa was devastated. She'd lost her scapegoat, her safety net, the sister who'd always been there to make her look better by comparison. Well, that sister was gone too. She blocked both numbers. Everything okay? Jihun glanced at her. Perfect. Elena tossed her phone in her purse. I just blocked my mother and Vanessa. No more texts. No more guilt trips. No more access to me. That's my girl. The pride in his voice made her smile. I should feel guilty. I should feel bad for making my mother cry. But I don't. I feel relieved. That's because you're finally putting yourself first. There's no guilt in self-preservation. He was right. She'd spent 28 years apologizing for existing, for needing things, for wanting to matter. She was done apologizing. Done explaining. Done trying to earn love from people who'd never valued her enough to give it freely. The only people who would benefit from her success going forward were the people who'd been there during her struggle. Jihun. Her real friends. The colleagues who'd supported her. Not the family who'd treated her like an afterthought and now wanted access to the woman she'd become despite them, not because of them. She'd taken her power back. And she wasn't giving it away again. Not to her mother. Not to Vanessa. Not to anyone who saw her value only after she'd stopped trying to prove it to them. That was the lesson she'd learned through fire and heartbreak. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away from people who don't know how to love you properly. even if those people are family. Especially if those people are family. If Elena's power move just gave you chills, drop a like and comment below. This is what taking your life back looks like, and trust me, the revenge is just getting started. Hit subscribe because you won't want to miss what happens next when the people who hurt her realize she's not coming back. 3 weeks after the confrontation with her mother, Elena stood in the lobby of Jihoon's corporate headquarters, her hands smoothing down the front of her tailored navy dress. She'd been working here for 2 months now, starting in a junior consultant position that Jihoon had helped her secure but hadn't handed to her. She'd interviewed like everyone else, competed against other qualified candidates, and earned the job on her own merit. That distinction mattered to her more than he probably realized. The past weeks had been a whirlwind of proving herself in a new environment, learning the ropes of international business consulting, and discovering she was actually good at it. Better than good. She had an analytical mind that cut through complex problems and found elegant solutions, a diplomatic communication style that made even difficult clients feel heard, and a work ethic that impressed even the most senior partners. She was thriving in ways she'd never imagined possible when she'd been drowning in the aftermath of Marcus's betrayal. Elena, Jihoon's assistant, a sharp woman named Minji, approached with a tablet. Mr. Kong wants to see you in his office before the client meeting. Elena nodded and took the elevator to the top floor, where Jihoon's corner office overlooked the city in every direction. She knocked once and entered, finding him standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows with his back to her, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Korean. He turned when he heard the door, his expression softening when he saw her, and he ended the call. "You wanted to see me?" She kept her voice professional. They'd agreed early on to maintain boundaries at work, no public displays of affection, no special treatment, nothing that would make her colleagues question whether she'd earned her position or simply slept her way into it. The Donovan account. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. They specifically requested you for the meeting today. Apparently, your presentation last week impressed them enough that they want you leading the project. Pride bloomed in her chest, warm and unfamiliar. Really? Don't sound so surprised. You're brilliant at this. He moved to his desk and handed her a file. This is the contract. They're willing to commit to a full year with option to extend if the first quarter shows the results we projected. It's a significant account, Elena. Career-making if you handle it well. She opened the file, scanning the numbers and terms, her mind already racing through strategies and timelines. This is huge. You deserve it. You've worked harder than anyone else in your cohort, stayed late every night, volunteered for the difficult accounts no one else wanted. The partners notice. I notice. His voice dropped slightly. Though I'd prefer if you didn't work quite so late every night. I miss you when you're buried in spreadsheets until midnight. She smiled despite herself. Someone taught me that excellence requires sacrifice. I taught you that excellence requires strategic effort, not self-destruction. There's a difference. He came around the desk and leaned against it, closer but not touching. How are you? Really? Since the thing with your mother? Lighter. It was the truth. I keep waiting to feel guilty or sad, but mostly I just feel relieved. Like I've been carrying something heavy my whole life and finally put it down. Have you heard from them? Your mother or Vanessa? They've tried calling from different numbers. My mother showed up at my old apartment twice, but I don't live there anymore, so she wasted her time. Vanessa sent a letter to my office that I returned unopened. She met his eyes. I meant what I said. They don't get access to me anymore. Good. His approval was clear. Family doesn't get a free pass to hurt you just because you share DNA. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She ignored it. It buzzed again immediately, then a third time. Irritated, she answered. Hello. Elena, thank God. Her mother's voice was breathless, desperate. Please don't hang up. Just listen. Elena ended the call and blocked the number. Jihoon raised an eyebrow. My mother, calling from someone else's phone. She pocketed her phone. I'm not interested in whatever new manipulation she's trying. She's persistent. She's desperate. There's a difference. She doesn't actually care about repairing our relationship. She cares about controlling the narrative, about not being the bad guy in the story. But I'm done caring about her comfort. Her phone rang again. Different number. She declined it and blocked that one too. Then a text came through from yet another number. Vanessa lost the house. Marcus took it back. She has nowhere to go. She needs you. Elena stared at the message, feeling nothing. No sympathy. No urge to rescue. Just cold satisfaction that consequences were finally catching up to people who'd never faced them before. What is it? Jihoon asked, seeing her expression. Vanessa lost the house Marcus bought her. Apparently, she needs me now. Elena deleted the text and blocked the number. Funny how she needs me now that she has nowhere else to turn. Where was she when I needed family? When Marcus was cheating on me with her? When I was crying myself to sleep wondering what was wrong with me? What are you going to do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Her problems aren't my responsibility. She made her choices. She can live with the consequences. That's harsh. That's boundaries. She looked at him. You told me I didn't have to set myself on fire to keep other people warm. This is me not setting myself on fire. He smiled, slow and proud. I did say that. And I meant it. Another call. Another unknown number. Elena sent it to voicemail and turned her phone off completely. I need to focus on work. The Donovan meeting is in an hour and I want to be prepared. They're going to love you. He straightened. Go dazzle them with that brilliant mind of yours. And Elena, he waited until she looked at him. I'm proud of you. Not just for the work. For choosing yourself. For walking away from people who didn't deserve you. That takes courage. His words settled warm in her chest, filling spaces her mother's approval never had. She left his office and spent the next hour reviewing the proposal, preparing for questions, anticipating objections. By the time the clients arrived, she was ready. The meeting lasted 3 hours. She presented with confidence, answered questions with expertise, negotiated terms with a diplomatic firmness that impressed even her own colleagues. When the clients signed the contract, committing to a 7-figure deal, the senior partner shook her hand and said, "You're going places, Elena. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." She floated through the rest of the day on the high of professional success, the kind of achievement that belonged entirely to her. She'd earned this. No one had given it to her. No one could take it away. This was hers. After work, she met Jihoon at a high-end restaurant downtown, the kind of place that required reservations months in advance. But Jihoon knew the owner, and they were seated immediately at a private table in the back. Congratulations on the Donovan account. He raised his wine glass. To your success. She clinked her glass against his. Thank you. For everything. For believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. For giving me the opportunity to prove what I could do. I didn't give you anything. You earned it. I just made sure you had a fair shot. He reached across the table and took her hand. You've blossomed in the past few months, Elena. Watching you come into your power has been extraordinary. I feel different. Stronger. Like I'm finally becoming who I was always supposed to be. You were always this person. You just needed space to grow without people cutting you down. The waiter brought their food, and they ate in comfortable conversation, discussing work and plans and dreams. Halfway through dinner, Elena's phone, which she'd turned back on, started buzzing repeatedly. She ignored it until Jihoon gestured to it. You should check. Might be important. She pulled out her phone and found 15 missed calls, all from different numbers and a slew of texts. She opened the most recent one from another unknown number. Your sister is in the hospital. She tried to hurt herself. Your mother is falling apart. Please, Elena. She needs you. We need you. Elena read the message twice, waiting for panic or guilt or sympathy to kick in. Nothing came. Just cold analysis and the recognition of manipulation when she saw it. Vanessa's in the hospital, she said flatly. Apparently tried to hurt herself. My mother wants me to come. Jihoon's expression darkened. Do you believe it? Does it matter? Even if it's true, it's not my problem. Vanessa's mental health isn't my responsibility. My mother's emotional state isn't my responsibility. Their dysfunction doesn't obligate me to set myself on fire again. You sound certain. I am certain. This is what they do. Create a crisis. Make it my problem. Force me to choose between my own well-being and their needs. Except I'm not playing that game anymore. She put her phone down and looked at Jihoon. I'm not going. Whatever is happening with Vanessa, whatever emotional breakdown my mother is having, they have to figure it out without me. They won't let this go easily. I know. But I will. I'll let it go. I'll block every number. I'll change my phone number if I have to. But I won't be manipulated back into that toxic dynamic. He studied her face, searching for cracks in her resolve. Finding none, he nodded. Okay. Then we finish dinner and go home and let them deal with their own mess. They did exactly that. Elena turned her phone off completely and enjoyed the rest of the meal, discussing a vacation they were planning to Japan in the spring. When they returned to Jihoon's penthouse, where Elena had been spending most nights, she changed into comfortable clothes and curled up on the couch with a book while Jihoon worked on his laptop beside her. It felt peaceful. Normal. Like the life she deserved instead of the chaos she'd escaped. Her laptop chimed with an email notification. She almost ignored it, but the subject line caught her eye. From your mother, please read. Against her better judgment, she opened it. Elena, I know you're angry. I know I've failed you. But Vanessa really is in the hospital. She took pills. They pumped her stomach. She's asking for you. She says she's sorry. She wants to make things right. I know I have no right to ask anything of you, but please. She's your sister. Whatever she's done, she's still your sister. Don't let her die thinking you hate her. I'm begging you. Please come to the hospital. Please give us one more chance. I'll do better. I'll be better. Just please don't abandon us when we need you most. Love, Mom. Elena read the email 3 times, analyzing every word for manipulation, for guilt-tripping, for the emotional blackmail she'd been subjected to her entire life. It was all there. The appeal to family obligation. The suggestion that Elena's absence would make her responsible for Vanessa's death. The promise of change that would never materialize. The positioning of their needs as more important than Elena's boundaries. She forwarded the email to Jihoon without comment. He read it, his expression growing colder with each line. Classic manipulation, he said when he finished. Textbook guilt-tripping with a side of emotional terrorism. I know. Elena closed her laptop. Part of me wonders if Vanessa really tried to hurt herself or if this is just drama to force me back into their lives. Does it matter? That's what I keep asking myself. Even if it's true, even if Vanessa really is in crisis, responding to this just teaches them that creating emergencies gets them what they want. It reinforces the pattern. So, what are you going to do? Elena took a deep breath and made a decision that felt both terrifying and liberating. Nothing. I'm not responding. I'm not going to the hospital. I'm not engaging with this at all. If Vanessa really is in crisis, my mother and the hospital staff can help her. If this is manipulation, I'm not rewarding it. Either way, I'm out. They'll escalate. Let them. I'll deal with whatever comes next. But I won't be manipulated back into being their emotional support animal. I'm done sacrificing my peace for their chaos. Jihoon pulled her close, and she melted into his embrace. I've got you. Whatever happens, whatever they try, I've got you. I know. That's why I can do this. Because I'm not alone anymore. Because I have someone in my corner who actually sees me and values me and doesn't make me earn basic respect and affection. They sat like that for a long time, her head on his chest, his arms around her, both of them silent but connected. Outside the windows, Seoul glittered with a million lights, indifferent to the small human dramas playing out in apartments and hospitals and hearts all across the city. Elena's phone, still off, sat on the coffee table like a bomb waiting to detonate. She knew when she turned it back on, there would be more calls, more texts, more emails. More guilt. More manipulation. More attempts to drag her back into the dysfunction she'd escaped. But she also knew she was strong enough now to withstand it. She'd been tested by betrayal and abandonment and came out stronger. She'd confronted her mother and set boundaries even when it hurt. She'd walked away from family when staying would have destroyed her. She'd built a career and a life and a sense of self-worth that didn't depend on anyone's approval. She was free. Really, truly free. And no amount of manipulation or guilt-tripping or family obligation would trap her again. The next morning, Elena woke to find Ji-hun already dressed for work, standing by the window with his phone pressed to his ear, speaking in terse Korean. His expression was thunderous. When he saw she was awake, he ended the call and crossed to the bed. Your mother showed up at my office building this morning. Security stopped her at the front desk, but she's refusing to leave until she speaks to you. She's causing a scene. Elena's stomach dropped. I'm sorry. I'll handle it. You don't have to handle anything. I can have security remove her. No, Elena threw back the covers and stood. If she wants a scene, I'll give her one. But it'll be the last one. I'm done being hunted down like I'm the one who did something wrong. She dressed quickly in professional attire, armor against whatever emotional warfare awaited, and rode down with Ji-hun to the lobby. Sure enough, her mother was there, looking haggard and desperate, mascara-streaked face suggesting she'd been crying for hours. Vanessa stood beside her, pale and thin, a hospital bracelet still visible on her wrist. So it had been real. The suicide attempt. Part of Elena felt a flicker of sympathy. Most of her felt nothing. Elena! Her mother rushed forward, but Elena held up a hand, stopping her cold. Don't come closer. Don't touch me. Don't speak until I'm finished. Elena's voice was ice. I don't know what part of leave me alone you didn't understand, but showing up at my workplace crosses a line. Your sister almost died, and that's tragic. Truly. But it's not my problem. Vanessa's mental health is not my responsibility. Your emotional state is not my responsibility. I am not responsible for managing the consequences of either of your choices. Vanessa stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. Elena, please. I'm sorry. For everything. For Marcus. For the years of competing with you. For making you feel invisible. I'm so sorry. I was awful to you. I know that now. Please forgive me. Please don't abandon me. Elena looked at her sister, really looked at her, and felt nothing. No anger. No sympathy. Just emptiness where their relationship used to be. I appreciate the apology. But it doesn't change anything. You didn't become a terrible sister overnight, Vanessa. You made choices for years. Hundreds of small cruelties that added up to systematic destruction of any love I might have had for you. An apology doesn't undo that. But we're family. Family is supposed to protect you, not destroy you. You destroyed me. Both of you. And now you want me to put myself back together just so you can break me again? No. I'm done. Her mother grabbed Elena's arm. Please, baby. I know I've been a terrible mother. I know I chose Vanessa over you. But I'm ready to change. I'm ready to do better. Just give me one more chance. Elena pulled free. You've had 28 years of chances. Every day of my life was an opportunity to see me, to value me, to love me properly. You chose not to. That's on you, not me. I love you. You love the idea of me. The daughter who doesn't cause problems. The one who forgives easily and forgets quickly. But that daughter doesn't exist anymore. She died the day I found out Marcus was cheating on me with my own sister while you looked the other way. Elena's voice was steady, final. What's standing here now is someone different. Someone who knows her worth. Someone who won't accept crumbs and call it love. Security was approaching, sensing the confrontation escalating. Ji-hun stood behind Elena, a silent show of support. You need to leave, Elena said. Both of you. And don't come back. Don't call. Don't text. Don't show up at my work or my home. Don't contact my friends or my colleagues. Consider this your restraining order delivered verbally. If you violate it, I'll make it legal. You can't mean that. I absolutely mean that. You taught me not to set myself on fire to keep others warm. Congratulations. Lesson learned. Now leave. Her mother opened her mouth to argue, but something in Elena's expression stopped her. Maybe she finally understood that her daughter was serious. That the power dynamic had shifted permanently. That Elena was no longer the little girl desperate for maternal approval. Security escorted them out. Elena watched them go, her mother sobbing, Vanessa leaning on her for support, and felt nothing but relief that they were leaving. That chapter of her life was closed. Not with reconciliation or healing, but with boundaries and self-preservation. Jihoon's hand found hers. Are you okay? I'm perfect. And she meant it. Let's go to work. I have a career to build and a life to live. They don't get any more of my time or energy. They rode the elevator up in silence, her hand in his, her heart lighter than it had been in years. She'd done it. Really, truly done it. Chosen herself. Set boundaries. Walked away from people who loved her wrong. And she didn't feel guilty. She felt free. Drop a comment and tell me if you've ever had to walk away from family for your own mental health. Elena just showed us what real strength looks like, choosing yourself even when it's hard. Hit that subscribe button because this story is about to shift into high gear, and you won't want to miss what happens when karma catches up to the people who hurt her. 2 months passed in a blur of professional success and personal happiness that Elena had never imagined possible. The Donovan account exceeded all projections, earning her a promotion to senior consultant and a salary that made her mother's house, the one she'd grown up feeling inadequate in, look modest by comparison. She moved into a luxury apartment in the heart of the city, decorated it exactly how she wanted without considering anyone else's opinion, and finally felt like she was living her own life instead of performing in someone else's story. Jihoon was there for all of it, but never overshadowing. He celebrated her wins without taking credit. He supported her ambitions without trying to control them. He loved her loudly and proudly, introducing her to his business associates and family as the woman who'd captured his heart completely. His parents, initially skeptical of their son dating outside their culture, were won over by Elena's intelligence, grace, and the obvious happiness their son radiated whenever she was near. She heard through mutual acquaintances that Marcus had become a cautionary tale in their old social circles, the man who'd thrown away a good woman for drama and found himself with neither. His career had taken hits after questionable decisions made while distracted by Vanessa. The house he'd bought for her, he'd reclaimed and sold at a loss just to be done with the reminder. He'd tried reaching out to Elena twice, apology texts that she'd deleted without reading. She had no interest in his remorse. It came too late and cost too little. Vanessa had moved back in with their mother, unemployed and struggling with the reality that beauty and manipulation only got you so far before the bill came due. Elena heard this through the same grapevine and felt nothing. Not satisfaction. Not sympathy. Just indifference. They were characters in a story she'd finished reading. Her mother had stopped trying to contact her after Elena had made good on her threat and filed for a restraining order when they'd shown up at her apartment building 3 times in 1 week. The legal document seemed to finally communicate what words had not. Elena was serious. This wasn't a phase or a tantrum. This was permanent restructuring of a relationship that had been toxic from the beginning. Now, standing in Jihoon's penthouse on a Friday evening with champagne in her hand and the city sparkling below, Elena felt something she'd never experienced before. Complete peace. No anxiety about family drama. No wondering if she was good enough. No performing or pretending or shrinking herself to fit someone else's expectations. Just existing fully and authentically as herself. What are you thinking about? Jihoon emerged from his home office, loosening his tie as he crossed to her. How different my life is now compared to a year ago. How I almost didn't survive what happened with Marcus and Vanessa, and now I can barely remember why I cared so much. That's growth. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, chin resting on her shoulder. You're not the same woman who got betrayed. You're stronger. More certain of who you are. Thanks to you. No, he turned her to face him. Thanks to you. I gave you space to heal and grow, but you did the work. You confronted your demons. You set boundaries. You chose yourself even when it was hard. That was all you, Elena. She kissed him, soft and grateful. I love you. I don't say it enough, but I do. Completely. I know. And I love you. He pulled back slightly, his expression shifting to something more serious. Which is why I want to talk to you about something. Her stomach flipped. That sounds ominous. Not ominous. Just important. He led her to the couch and they sat, his hands holding hers. We've been together for 8 months. living together for 4. And every day I'm more certain that I want forever with you. Her heart started racing. Jihoon, let me finish. He smiled. I know you've been hurt. I know trust doesn't come easily after what you've been through. But I also know that what we have is real. It's solid. It's the kind of love that builds futures instead of just filling time. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Elena's breath caught. I'm not asking you to marry me right now. I know that might be too fast, too much pressure after everything. But I want you to know my intentions are serious. I want to marry you, Elena. I want to build a life with you. I want children with you if you want them. I want to grow old annoying you with my workaholic tendencies and you annoying me with your perfectionism. He opened the box, revealing a stunning engagement ring, elegant and understated, exactly her style without her ever having mentioned preferences. This ring is a promise. When you're ready, when you feel certain, when you know in your bones that forever with me is what you want, you tell me. And we'll make it official. But until then, I want you to have this as a reminder that someone sees you, chooses you, and wants forever with you. No conditions. No games. Just love. Tears were streaming down Elena's face. You're not asking me to marry you? I'm telling you I want to marry you. There's a difference. I'm giving you control over the timeline. You've had too many people in your life trying to control you, manipulate you, force you into roles you didn't choose. I won't do that. You decide when you're ready. I'll be here, ready whenever you are. She looked at the ring, then at his face, and felt something click into place. This was what love was supposed to feel like. Safe. Certain. Chosen. Not desperate or anxious or constantly proving yourself worthy. Just wanted, exactly as you were. I'm ready now, she said. He blinked. What? I'm ready now. Ask me. Properly. I'll say yes. Elena, you don't have to rush. I'm not rushing. I'm certain. She cupped his face. I've spent my whole life waiting for people to choose me. My mother. Vanessa. Marcus. Waiting and hoping and trying to earn what should have been freely given. But you chose me from the beginning. You saw me when I was broken and didn't try to fix me, you just gave me space to fix myself. You've proven every single day that your love is steady and real and not contingent on me being perfect or convenient. I don't need more time to know I want forever with you. I already know. His eyes were bright with emotion. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. She smiled through her tears. So ask me. Ask me properly so I can say yes and we can start planning the life we're going to build together. Jihoon took a shaky breath, pulled the ring from the box, and slid off the couch to one knee. Even though they'd just discussed it, even though she knew what was coming, her heart still raced. Elena. His voice was thick with emotion. You walked into my life at your lowest point and somehow made me better just by existing. You're brilliant and strong and beautiful in ways that have nothing to do with appearance and everything to do with character. You've survived things that would have destroyed other people and came out kinder, not harder. You inspire me. You challenge me. You make me want to be worthy of you every single day. Will you marry me? Will you choose forever with me the way I'm choosing forever with you? Yes. The word came out as a sob. Yes, absolutely yes. He slid the ring onto her finger, a perfect fit, like everything else about them, and stood, pulling her into his arms and kissing her with an intensity that made her forget everything except this moment, this man. This love that had healed wounds she'd thought were permanent. When they finally broke apart, both laughing and crying, he spun her around. We're getting married. We're getting married. She looked at the ring sparkling on her finger and felt joy so complete it was almost frightening. Oh my God, we're getting married. Having second thoughts already? Never. She kissed him again. Though we should probably discuss the wedding. Because I have opinions. I would expect nothing less. He pulled her back to the couch. Tell me everything. What do you want? They spent the next 3 hours planning, debating, laughing over details. Elena wanted something intimate, elegant, meaningful. Not a spectacle to impress others, but a celebration of their love with people who actually mattered to them. Jihoon agreed with everything, adding ideas that showed how well he knew her, how much attention he'd paid to the things she valued. What about your family? She asked eventually, the question unavoidable. Your mother? Vanessa? What about them? Do you want them there? Elena thought about it. Really thought about it. Part of her, the part still carrying childhood wounds, wanted to exclude them completely. To make them feel the rejection she'd felt her whole life. But that would mean they still had power over her decisions, still influenced her choices even in absence. They can come as guests, she said finally. Not in the wedding party. Not seated up front. Just regular guests in the back if they choose to attend. I won't reach out with an invitation, but if they somehow hear about it and want to come, I won't stop them. But they don't get special treatment. They're not family in any way that matters anymore. That's generous of you. It's not generosity. It's indifference. I genuinely don't care if they're there or not. They're that irrelevant to my happiness now. That's growth. He kissed her forehead. The Elena I met 8 months ago would have been torn apart by that decision. Now you're just neutral. That's powerful. He was right. She'd gone from desperately needing her family's approval to being completely unbothered by their absence from her life. That was freedom. Real, actual freedom. The next 6 weeks were a whirlwind of planning, shopping, and preparing for a wedding that felt less like a production and more like a promise between two people who'd found each other when they both needed it most. Elena chose a dress that made her feel beautiful and powerful, sleek and elegant. Nothing like the princess gown she'd picked out for her almost wedding to Marcus. That dress had been about fantasy. This one was about reality, about the woman she'd become. Jihun's family embraced her completely, his mother especially taking Elena under her wing and treating her with the maternal warmth Elena had always craved. It was healing in unexpected ways, being loved by someone else's mother when her own had failed so spectacularly. Elena sent exactly one message to her mother 3 weeks before the wedding. I'm getting married on November 14th at the Riverside Estate at 4 p.m. You and Vanessa may attend as guests if you wish. This is not a reconciliation or an olive branch. This is me being neutral about your presence. You're welcome to come. You're welcome to stay home. Either way, I'm marrying the love of my life and building the future I deserve. Her mother responded immediately. Thank you. We'll be there. Elena, I'm so happy for you. Elena deleted the text without responding. She'd said what needed saying. Anything else would just be her mother trying to manipulate her way back into Elena's good graces. That door was permanently closed. The morning of the wedding, Elena woke in her apartment. She'd insisted on staying at her own place the night before, wanting the traditional separation, to sunshine and calm nerves. No anxiety. No second guessing. Just certainty that she was making the right choice. Her bridesmaids arrived, friends from work, from her past, women who'd supported her through the Marcus disaster and celebrated every victory since. They helped her dress, did her makeup, laughed and told stories, and made her feel loved in ways that had nothing to do with blood relation and everything to do with chosen family. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. Not because she looked different, but because she looked happy. Genuinely, radiantly happy. The woman staring back at her had survived betrayal and neglect and heartbreak and come out stronger, kinder, more certain of her worth. She was proud of that woman. Proud of herself. The ceremony was everything she'd dreamed. Intimate gathering of 70 people who actually mattered. String quartet playing softly. Flowers everywhere. White roses and eucalyptus, elegant and timeless. And at the end of the aisle, Jihun waited in a perfectly tailored suit, looking at her like she was the only person in the world. She walked down that aisle alone, no father to give her away because she wasn't property to be transferred, just a woman choosing her own future. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. Her mother and Vanessa were there, seated in the very back, exactly as Elena had specified. She saw them when she entered, saw her mother crying, saw Vanessa looking pale and uncomfortable. She felt nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. Just indifference. They were there. Fine. They weren't. Also fine. They were truly irrelevant to her happiness now. Jihun's eyes were bright when she reached him. You're stunning, he whispered. You're not so bad yourself. She grinned. The ceremony was short, meaningful, focused on the promises they were making rather than spectacle or tradition. They wrote their own vows, Elena promising to choose him every day, to build a life of honesty and trust, to love him through whatever came. Ji-hun promising to see her always, to value her dreams as much as his own, to be her partner in every sense of the word. When the officiant pronounced them married and Ji-hun kissed her, Elena felt something settle into place. She was no longer the girl who wasn't enough. She was a woman who knew her worth, who'd fought for her happiness, who'd walked away from toxicity and built something beautiful in its place. The reception was joy personified. Dancing and laughter and toasts that celebrated not just their love, but Elena's journey from brokenness to wholeness. Ji-hun's business partner gave a speech about watching Elena transform the company with her brilliance. Elena's friend from college talked about the phone calls after Marcus's betrayal and how far Elena had come since then. No one from Elena's family spoke. They hadn't been invited to. They sat at their table in the back, watching Elena celebrate surrounded by people who actually loved her and, maybe finally, understood what they'd lost by never valuing her properly. During the reception, Elena's mother approached her at the bar. Elena saw her coming and steeled herself. Elena. Her mother's voice was tentative. You look beautiful. The wedding is lovely. Thank you. I'm proud of you. Truly. You've built an amazing life. Elena looked at her mother, really looked at her, and felt nothing but distant pity. This woman had failed so spectacularly at the one job that mattered, and now she wanted credit for Elena's success? No. I appreciate that, Elena said neutrally. But you don't get to be proud of me. You didn't build this. You didn't support this. You actively worked against it for years. This life, this happiness, this success, I did that despite you, not because of you. Her mother flinched. I know I failed you. You did. Spectacularly. And I've made peace with that. But making peace doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. It means accepting reality and moving forward without you in any meaningful way. Can't we? No, Elena's voice was firm but not cruel. We can't. You're here because I didn't want to waste energy excluding you. But your presence doesn't change anything. You're not my family anymore. Not in any way that matters. Ji-hun is my family. His parents, who've shown me more love in 6 months than you did in 28 years, are my family. My friends are my family. You're just the woman who gave birth to me and failed at everything after. That's harsh. That's honest. I'm done protecting your feelings at the expense of my truth. Elena picked up her champagne. Enjoy the reception. The food is excellent. But after today, please don't contact me again. I meant what I said about boundaries. They're not negotiable. She walked away, back to Ji-hun, who wrapped his arm around her waist and pulled her close. Everything okay? Perfect. And she meant it. Let's dance. They danced for hours, lost in each other and the celebration of their love. When the reception finally ended, they drove to the airport for a honeymoon in Bora Bora, 2 weeks of sun and ocean and complete disconnection from the world. On the plane, Elena took off her heels and curled into Ji-hun's side. Thank you, she said softly. For what? For seeing me. For choosing me. For giving me space to become who I was always meant to be. You did that yourself. I just had the good sense to stick around and watch. He kissed her head. I love you, Mrs. Kong. Mrs. Kong. She tested the name in her mind and found she liked it. Not because she needed to take his name to have value, but because she wanted to. Wanted the symbol of building something new, separate from her past, and the family that had never valued her. I love you too, she whispered, feeling sleep pull at her. Forever. Forever, he agreed. She drifted off thinking about the future they'd build, children maybe, if they wanted them. Careers they'd both continue to excel at. A life full of love and trust and partnership. No drama. No manipulation. No constantly proving her worth. Just chosen love. Just steady commitment. Just two people who'd found each other and decided forever was exactly long enough. The life she deserved. The happiness she'd built from ashes. The ending that was really just a beginning. If this story moved you, if Elena's journey from invisible to invaluable resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe. Share this video with anyone who needs to hear that walking away from toxic family isn't cruel, it's self-preservation. And remember, you are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Choose yourself. Choose your peace. Choose the life you deserve. Thank you for watching Elena's complete transformation from betrayal to triumph. This is what real happily ever after looks like. Not finding someone to complete you, but becoming whole on your own, and then choosing to share that wholeness with someone worthy of it.